Okay, so we've got the Blitz ATF435 and 55 amp ESC, and so this is 40 bucks. You can get this for $40. I got it from Race Day Quads. It's got 30 volt MOSFETs. It already has a capacitor already on it. It's a 35 volt. And then it says it goes to maxes out at 65 amps or burst at 65, and it stays at 55. Alright, here's the flight controller. And on the flight controller, it was hard to find these instructions, so I'm going to go over with you. You got UART1, you got UART2, you got R21, that's S-Bus. And then on the flip side here, you got UART3. If you look at arrow up like this, there's 3 right here. There's UART4. Also on the other side, you got UART4 here. Then you got UART5. And then you got UART6 for telemetry. So UART6 is going to be up here. And I'm not too sure how telemetry works, so. We also have, if you got DJI, this is where you're going to plug up at for DJI. And this wire here has another wire coming off of it, and this wire will plug in here instead of this one. That's for DJI. If you're running LRS and any other radio system, then you're going to run your video off this and your LRS off this. And there's one wire that does this, and the yellow is hooked to the S-Bus. So you'll have to switch around the S-Bus back up here to the R2. So UART2 is going to be LRS, Crossfire, TBS, or whatever. And then you're going to use UART4 for your GPS. You could use UART3 if you're wanting to solder up LRS. And which is very useful if you're using the DJI and you have LRS with it. You're not going to be using the S-Bus. You can go ahead and plug that in and solder your LRS up here. So for this being a plug and play and a 65 amp burst, I think it's worth 40 bucks. But we're going to find out. I'm going to put on a drone, do a review of it, do a flight review of it. But the reason why I wanted to break this down for you is because I had trouble finding it. It was in Japanese. I had to translate it, and I figured it out finally. It comes with a lot of wires, so that was kind of confusing also. And I recommend, if you're going to be building a fast high KV 6S, to get a 50 volt capacitor and put it on these pads here. And then or you can also put your 50 volt right here, but it's big and bulky, so do which one ever you wish. I wouldn't trust just that if you were doing a high KV. even though it's nice that it's already soldered onto the board for you. So your flight controller comes with 3 different wires. You got an 8-pin, and you got a 10-pin, and you got another 10-pin, which is the exact same thing. You just pick whichever 10-pin you want, plug it in, and the gyro is a BMI 270. It's got a black box already in it at 32 megabytes. It's got a LED controller in it. So it's got all the works. For 40 bucks you cannot beat a stack like this. They sell it on their site for like 60, but I've seen on sale on Race Day Quads, and also Defiance. So they got them to get FPV also. So before they're all sold out, I'd get a couple of these if you're into building drones. That's really nice to have. I always have problems with ESCs going out, or a flight controller going out from a crash or something like that, which I have prevented that now by taking Kapton tape. And what I'll do is I will tape up the bottom of my ESC, if this is the bottom. I think maybe it will go like this, but I take Kapton tape and I tape up the bottom of my ESC, and I also tape up my drone, the frame on the drone. And you won't believe how much that's going to save you a lot of money, because once you get into a decent crash, you're going to ground one of these out to the frame, and it's going to short it out. But so what I do is I take Kapton tape, I put it in between the stack. And have I seen any heat problems? I have not had any heat problems whatsoever using Kapton. Heck, I even have a T-motor with epoxy resin on all 4 sides, just to see if it would work. And it works just fine, not had any heat problems at all. So you can epoxy these if you wanted to. Just make sure you don't epoxy your pads, because you want to get back to them when you need to. But everything else really does not need to be exposed in any way, shape, or form. The only thing about the tape, the Kapton tape, it's best to make sure you get all the soldering done that you could possibly get done, and then use the Kapton tape, because you don't want little beads of solder getting into this build. So there's a couple little hints and tricks to maybe help you out on your next build. It's got a C port right here. Alright, so this is the breakdown of this one. I will put a link in the description where you can get this flight controller really cheap, or this stack really cheap, and where you can find all the information about the plugs and everything. And it's in Japanese, so you're going to have to translate it. So when you look at the site, let me see if I can bring it up here real quick. Alright, so when you look at the site, alright, so when you get to this site, it's going to be in Japanese. You're just going to right click it, translate to English, and they hide this pretty well, so it's hard to find it if you don't know where it's at. So you go to show more, and then it shows all the wiring layout on that. I will put a link in that in the description. Alright guys, there's my review or my breakdown of the iFlight Blitz. We will do a review on this also. This is just so you guys can get the wiring diagram, and because it was hard to find for me, and I figured I'd put this information out and show you a good deal on this before it's gone. See ya.